What's up, YouTube? Swoljaboy here, and what I'm going to do today, and in the next couple videos, is I'm going to bring you some practical tests between certain dinos that you may be curious about. I mean, it's very easy to go on YouTube and you can find massive fights of X amount of this dino versus X amount of that dino, and a lot of things, I mean, they're very interesting and they're entertaining, but they don't show you really what your dinosaur may be capable of in a practical setting. And I know if there's those of you like me who have spent some time taming this and taming that, even on accelerated servers, we all know that it takes time, and we don't want to lose our time that we've invested in trial and error. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and eliminate some of that trial and error and get some worry out of your mind. So as far as settings go, the only things that are adjusted are day and night. Nothing as far as dinos are adjusted. Everything is default. I have 100 times taming speed so that I can actually KO something and use one kibble to tame it. So it tames at 179, just for accuracy's sake and to make it more legit. I know I could force tame at 180, but everything's fine. There's slightly higher health recovery, but it really makes no difference. And the only mods I'm running is the kibble vending machine for obvious reasons, so I can get the kibble to tame these things. I have health and torpor bars, and this is just to help show the damage done and taken by the target and my dinos. I can't figure out how to get floating combat text on single player. I've googled it and I've tried, and it just doesn't want to work. So I'm over it. I'm just going to use this so you can see. And the buff darts is just so that I can easily knock something out. Everything else is standard difficulty 1. It's not hardcore, which doesn't really matter. I mean, again, it's single player. We all know that doesn't persist while you're offline. So just to show you. So I'm going to join server, and I'll meet you inside. Well, welcome back, YouTube. We are here at the top of the Frozen Fang, which is very close to the area where I am going to conduct my tests. The area I like is right in between the Frozen Fang and the volcano, just over there. If you would like coordinates, I'll give them to you shortly. I just gathered some metal because we need some kibble for our tames, and it was just going right here. I believe it's done. Yep, here we go. Alright, so let's take this. And let's head down to my spot. I'm just in single player, of course. So what we're going to do is we're going to conduct several tests, and I'm doing this because I would like to show the viability in killing Gigas, killing wild Gigas specifically, because tamed ones are often it's often affected by if it's being ridden, or its saddle armor and all that stuff, but the stats are more or less evened out. What we want to know is how viable are our dinos versus wild dinos, in particular Gigas, because Gigas used to be apex, they used to be unkillable, but after the recent nerfs, they are very killable, and I'm going to just show you how killable they can be. If you're like me, you've invested your time, and you don't want to lose that time. So what I'm going to do is try to show you what can and can't be done. Don't be disturbing my video, dog. So these are actually Gigas that I used to test some things before filming this, because I wanted to double check what I thought would be correct, and I was proven right. So to start things off, what I'm going to do, as you can see, there's the HP bar mod, by the way. The yellow bar is torpor, and the green bar is health. And as you can see, it shows a little from damage and whatnot. So here we are. RG's in a safe place. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spawn in some wild Gigas and drop them and tame them and use them for this video. The damage number that I happen to be shooting for is 160. On a PvE server that I play on, I have 2 Gigas, both with 160 melee right now. The eggs hatch at 110, so it's 50 points 50%, I guess, in levels that I get. But it's not that hard to get. I mean, you're not going to get it off a 50 tame, but if you tame, you know, an 80 to 120, you basically have a chance of getting that. And even if you get a little bit lower, you can use what I do in this video to make adjustments to your strategy or to what you think your dinos are capable of. It's very possible to get higher, as you'll probably see in the Gigas that I tame. It's very possible for damage numbers to be higher, and I'm not going to use any higher than 160 because that's what I have, and I feel like it's in the middle somewhere because I've seen much higher, but I've also seen lower. So with that said, I'm going to spawn in a couple, male and female, and try and get myself our Gigas. Alright, here's the male. I know it's a male because of the blue on the health bar. And let's see his melee. 170. So it'll drop after the tame, which is good. That's what we want. Alright, here's also a male, which is not good. So I'm just going to kill this one. I guess it would help if I put God mode on too. And another male. Another male. And finally a female. So, just for the sake of everything, I'm going to show you what the melees are. Here's one male, 225. So, post-tame, this one will probably be... You know what, I'll just show you. I will show you. But I'm going to say both post-tame, we're probably looking at maybe 195 to 200. Here we have 195. I'll tame this one too, just to show you. And it's probably going to be somewhere around 175. Now we have our girl. Is this the girl? I don't even know. 180. That might have been the male. Where's the girl? Give me the girl. Here's the female. Alright, female has 180. Okay, so we'll have, oh, Saber. Yo, Saber. You're ruining my video. Perfect timing. Alright, Giga. Relax, please. Relax. I think another one tamed? Right, let's wake this one up. Right, your name is D, apparently. Alright. So there's all the Gigas awake. Okay, so like I was saying, I'm going to show you the different melees that tamed up here. So we have 125. I don't remember what this one was. I think it was 170. This was the 170. This is another male. 145. I don't think I got a chance to check that one. The female, what did she have? 170 or 180 or something like that. There's 140. This one has 160. I think that was like the 190 or something like that. I'll have to... I'm not sure. But this one was the 200 and something, right? And here we go, 170 tamed out. So as you can see, it's quite variable. Can y'all get out of my video? I suck at aiming, apparently. Okay. Everybody out. I'm trying to do some stuff. And now they're both ready. They both have 160 melee and they're ready to fend off a wild. So for the first test, we're going to have the upgraded saddles. As you can see, I have an Ascendant and a Mastercraft with roughly the same armor, 78 and 77 respectively. If you hunt for sea drops, or if you run the snow cave, or if you run the swamp cave, it's very plausible that you have gotten one of these yourself. Or perhaps got a Mastercraft blueprint, because I believe the Ascendant ones are uncraftable. Anyhow, this will be the first test, and this is going to be your best case scenario. I mean, of course, you could do better if you have better saddles, or if you manage to tame a Giga with higher melee, but for the sake of the test, I want to use a practical number that I feel like all of you could have a chance at getting, and not needing to be so lucky to attain. So here we are. I'm going to spawn in a wild Giga out here, and then I'm going to sick those two on it and let them do all the work. I'm not going to ride it or anything. Alright, so let's spawn in a 120, and we're going to use wild 120s because they are the highest level that you can possibly find on a default server. And I want you to see what can happen against the highest, basically the largest threat. You know, a level 5 or sorry, a 4 isn't going to be as big of a threat as a level 1. All right, so let's get this Giga's attention. I suppose what we can do is just drag them over. Why not? Ooh, I want both of you. Alright, so they're going after him. Her, him, I don't even know. Now let's see what happens. And there you have it. 2 160 melee mate boosted Gigas taking on a wild 120. I obviously don't know what kind of damage the 120 had, but you know, we can assume that it was fairly decent, and we can go from there. But they were both left with, look at that, about 7,500 HP, so they lost quite a bit. That's, you know, that's an 18k loss, roughly. You won't be able to fight 2 in a row, but with some healing, you know, some force feeding, you could easily get these guys back up. Well, not easily, but unless you have a left-click macro. You could easily get them back up and ready to fight again. And again, this was with the Ascendant and Mastercraft, roughly 80 armor saddles. Really? Bug? So, if you have a similar situation on your server or with your dinos, you know now that you stand a fighting chance. So, with that said, we're going to move on to test 2. What I'm going to do is I'll spawn in 2 more Gigas, I'll tame them, I'll kill these ones, I'll get them all set up, and I will be right back. Okay, so we're back with our 179 just tamed Gigas, male and female. So you saw the melee stats just a second ago. The male tamed out with 115. This would be very close to what my tamed Giga has, pre-leveling, of course. And the female tamed out with 135, which is it seems, you know, it seems that the 110, the 160 is very plausible if you manage to find a 110 or sorry, like a 112, 116, maybe even a 120 on your server. But yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to add experience real quick, and we're going to bump them up to the 160 mark. There we go. 160 on him, then we need 160 on her. Alright, so we have 160 on both. Now, the difference this time, as you might not have noticed, is that I have primitive saddles. These are the standard saddle that you make from your smithy, from the engram. So if you have not gotten lucky with a sea drop or anything like that, we now have primitive saddles to show that you can, or can't, we don't know, conduct any kind of Giga assaults. So what I'll do again is I'm going to spawn a wild, I'm going to get on my bird and whistle them in, and we're going to see what happens. Let me grab my RJ. And there's the wilds, and they are whistled. So with primitive saddles, they still win. They didn't rage, and they still win. However, it seems the HP is actually really, really close. So it could be that perhaps the AI was just better here, or maybe they got more hits off, I'm not sure. We should have noticed a slight difference in the damage taken while using the Ascendant and Mastercraft saddles as opposed to the primitive ones, because primitive saddles, I mean, the armor definitely makes a difference in this game. But in this particular fight, it didn't seem to do that much damage. So perhaps the Giga I spawned happened to have a really, really low damage number. So just to try to show that a primitive saddle does make a difference, what I am going to do is spawn these all in again, do another really quick test, and I will be right back. You will meet me at the fight. Okay, so we're back again with two 160% melee damage Gigas, mate boosted, primitive saddles, and we are going to spawn another one to see if the damage taken is a little more variable, because I suspect it should be a little lower. I think the Giga we spawned in was a dud. We have 160. She tamed out at about 130, I think. He tamed out at 110. As you can see, 98,000 or 60,000 experience used in levels right now. Or I'm sorry, 98,000 experience used in levels. 600,000 is just what I gave him. I gave him 1 million. I think that's the cap. But 160 on both. So we will spawn the wild one and observe. And there you have it. So in this particular test, this Giga managed to avoid all the damage. I don't know how, but he did. And our Giga actually raged. So one thing I will say about raging is typically a wild Giga will not rage your Giga, because with the nerf, their damage just isn't high enough, and the AI doesn't attack fast enough. But in this case, the fight went on long enough, and the mate boost keeps your Giga alive that long enough that the rage actually does happen. It happened fairly long into the fight, and as you can see this time around, our Giga took a lot more damage, 22k in damage, as opposed to before, where it took about 18k, which was very similar to the upgraded saddles fight. So you can definitely survive this with primitive saddles. And with a bit of ingenuity, you can even avoid all the damage taken on one, which, if you're riding, would be even easier. Now there is one thing to note, and I'm gonna illustrate this too. You have to keep the mate boost going because, and Gigas, you know, due to their size, you would think the mate boost range would be large, but it's not. So we're mate boosted right now, and now we're not. Now that might seem silly, but Gigas are large. We can both attack the same Giga from right here. I'll even walk her around. Well, actually, this is the him. I'll even walk him around and show you. From, like, say you sandwich a Giga, right? We're not mate boosted right now, but you could easily fit a Giga. You could fit a T-Rex in there, you know, and we could be attacking the same target without mate boost, which means more damage taken, less damage done. You know the deal. Look, we're still not mate boosted. Still not. There we go. Finally mate boosted when our heads are intertwined. So you got to be really careful when you try to do some sort of strategy where you maybe send one Giga in and then sandwich the other Giga and try to avoid damage. Because due to the bite radius, I mean, I can bite here and I can hit something behind my feet. So, with that said, we're going to move on to test number 3. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the primitive saddles again. But this time I'm going to ride a Giga. And what I'll do is I will send one in and then I will move my Giga in to attack. And we will pincer the wild one and hopefully be able to A, mitigate damage, and B, kill it quicker. So with that said, I will do my thing, spawn some Gigas, get them all set up, and I will be right back. Okay, so we're back with our 187 and 219 level 116 melee Gigas. And we're going to conduct the final test. I will just show you. We got the primitive saddle, and we got 160 melee there, and we got the primitive saddle and 160 melee there. So this time, like I said, I am going to ride one. I'm going to ride the boy, and I'm going to use the girl to hopefully tank and alleviate any damage from myself. So what we're going to do is we're going to spawn the Giga in way out there. Let's see. Do 10,000 range. There, the Giga's way out there now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to whistle from here, go attack. And then I'm going to try and meet up with her. Oh god. Okay, so here we are. This is maybe what you might do. Get a trike in your way. And then you get involved. As you can see, we are mate boosted. Here's some health bars for you. The wild is taking this. Wow. Wild's taking a lot of damage, but so are we. And you can see my rage bar. And there we go. Ridden. Let's see how much damage we mitigated. So I took 14k, almost 16, almost 15k, and she took 19k, roughly, just a little bit less. So you can easily see that, and I did keep the mate boost. We did see the heart, so you can see that if you send one in, you know, and ride the other, you can definitely mitigate some damage. I mean, he's still battered, and he can't exactly, you know, go out and fight again. I mean, he could fight anything but a Giga, and a Titan, but that's another story. But we did do some work. We did mitigate some damage. It did prove to be more effective to do this. And again, these are with primitive saddles. So if you were to use the Ascendant and Mastercraft saddles or anything higher than primitive, you can perhaps mitigate some damage. I mean, my guess is that the dot that a Giga does is not affected by the saddles, so you're going to reduce their melee, but that dot is brutal. So, in essence, it does a lot more damage than the bite itself. So, over time, that's going to be more damaging, and the saddles aren't going to help you there. But, with that said, I think we've proven a point here that if you have 2 Gigas with similar stats, you can achieve the same thing that I've done. And you could go out and you could be less fearful now of wild Gigas. a couple final thoughts here. I'm by myself. If you were to put a tribe mate, or, you know, you'd have to use a tribe mate because alliances and other people don't give you mate boosts. But if you were to put a tribe mate on another one, then you could have two people, you know, full attacking. And when I say that, I mean, you know, taking advantage of the fact that you can that you can click faster and attack faster than the AI attacks. So with two people riding, you could do even more damage and perhaps mitigate even more damage. If you have more than 2 Gigas, more power to you. You could easily wreck wild ones with no problem, as you'll see at the end of this video. But yeah, and then the last thing to take into account is the mate boost. Or sorry, not mate boost. I'm sorry, the imprinting bonus that you get. Really hungry? That you get from raising a baby. So these are just spawned in tamed 120s. But if you were to raise a baby, you would have an imprint. Say you got 100% or even 50%, that's still 15% imprint boost. So say you raise 2 babies, you imprint on one, your tribe mate imprints on another, one's a boy, one's a girl. You get them to whatever percentage you get. Now you have mate boost bonus and you have imprinting bonus on top of each other. So you could actually have an even easier time than I've illustrated here in this video. You know, you could be doing more damage and taking even less. Of course, it would require 2 people, but again, I mean, this is Ark. You know, things take more people, take more time, whatever the case may be. That's just the design of the game. But I hope that this video has shown you that Gigas can be taken out, especially after the recent nerf. They can be taken out with your Gigas, and I just want you to feel confident. You know, I've invested time in my tames. I'm sure you've invested time in your tames. And there's always that fear that, you know, maybe a Giga will creep up on you, especially if you play on the center where Giga spawns are fairly broken and they like to be everywhere at all times. But go take them out. Take your own dinos and go take them out. So with that said, I'm going to take you to some other footage, and I'm going to show you some stuff there. Stick around for it if you'd like. If not, I want to thank you for watching the video, and in the next couple videos that I do on the same topic, I would like to experiment with T-Rexes versus Gigas, because I feel like they're the only thing possible to counter a wild Giga besides Gigas. And we're also going to do some experimenting with the Titans. I mean, they're fairly new, and there's not that much like solid data as to how to counter them or how to fight them or anything like that. But I'm going to do some testing. I'm going to see if your Gigas of the same caliber can perhaps take on a Titan. We're going to see if maybe you need stronger Gigas, and we're going to see if it's even possible to go that distance with a T-Rex, or with, I should say, with a T-Rex army, because we all know that. I think we can all guess how that's going to go. But anyway, this is Swoljaboy, and I will be back next time. And if you stay tuned, I hope you enjoy the following footage.